I'm Galbreath, here for Klipsun Magazine Online, and today we're talking about rugby. Rugby has its roots in the US dating all the way back to the 1800s. The US even took the gold medal in the Summer Olympics of 1920. Although France was the only other team competing. Rugby is one of America's fastest growing sports, according to the Sports and Fitness Industry Association. However, on the international stage, the US is still very much a small fry. While the US men's national team has found some success in rugby sevens, they've been unable to translate that into rugby 15s, unable to join the pantheon of great rugby teams such as the Australian Wallabies, the South African Springboks, and of course, the famed New Zealand All Blacks. In 2017, Major League Rugby was formed with the hopes of further developing rugby here in the US and inspiring future generations of ruggers. But with the popularity and pervasiveness of American football and the recent boom in interest in soccer here in the States, it has to be asked, why rugby? What is it that this sport offers us that we don't already get from the NFL or the MLS? I sat down with a few players from Seattle's first ever professional rugby team, the Seawolves, to get a better look at what sets this sport apart.
I've been playing rugby for about 7 years now. I started in high school in Louisville, Kentucky.
I started my freshman year of college, which would be almost exactly 10 years ago.
I've been playing for quite a bit since I was 13, so I'm 31 now. So it's almost like 18 years, I would say, 17, 18 years. I actually started playing here, so our local rugby club in West Seattle. I was just out with a friend, and he was going to rugby practice, so I just decided to go along with him and sat on the side, watched it, and was kind of curious. So next practice I joined in, and it was over from there. I just started playing it.
See, I played football in high school, and then my friends kind of got me into rugby. So then once I got recruited to college, it kind of helped me, keep pushing towards rugby more than football, than trying out and stuff. The thing that really pushed me is when I actually took that trip to South Africa. I ended up meeting Tendai, which is the international prop, and I trained with him, and I trained with the Sharks Academy, and that kind of pushed me, I got a little bit more. I can do a little bit more. I can do better.
I mean, I've played football, I've wrestled. I played basketball too, which is, that's way back then. But what drew me to rugby was not so much on the field was, interesting, playing it, but it was more off the field stuff. So like the community service, camaraderie with teammates. It was a very different sport.
I think the easiest way to define rugby culture versus, say, football culture is after the rugby games, the home team hosts the away team for food and a beer, whatever it might be. And then in football, that certainly doesn't happen. As soon as the game's over, you go your separate ways. But in rugby, it's once you've joined and once you've played a game, you've become part of this culture where it's like it's an extended family, where if you show up in a different city and you need to ride home from the airport, somebody from that local rugby club will certainly be happy to pick you up.
In American sports, I had that, I was always taught to not really hate my enemies, but I just didn't really like that guy, whereas in rugby, after our games, we went and shook their hands, and we bought them food and drinks, and that was such a weird idea to me at that time. I just thought that was different from any other sport that I've ever played. Growing up as a kid in West Seattle area, kind of Delridge a little bit. I wasn't really around the right crew, the right group growing up, and growing up in your own little community, in your environment, sometimes that's your reality, and when rugby took me away from that, and I was able to see other cultures, other environments, it made me realize how blessed I was, more than anything, that I'm actually lucky to be here and that my situation isn't that bad, It just brought me to the realization that this sport, we're all humans, we're all, this sport just binds us together. So that's what drew me into rugby.
Rugby becoming professional in the U.S., it brings that rugby camaraderie, the rugby culture, the rugby family that's the rugby culture knows about, the rugby community knows about, and now we're kind of bringing it mainstream, and we're introducing that to soccer fans, to football fans, and really that family aspect, which a lot of people feel is one of the coolest things about rugby.
Oh, it's going to take off. There's already teams coming in next year. There's going to be more teams and more people involved. Try to get more colleges involved and getting the youth into it too, because we're actually helping out with the community, and we're starting youth rugby. There's youth rugby going around, so the game's going to grow.